Thank you very much.
It's Kaufman is Alive. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at the newest issue of X-Men, number 9, Legacy number 309. Jed McKay is the writer. We got Ryan Stegman on the cover here. He's also on some of the interior pages, but we've got Fredrico Vicentini doing some interiors as well. JP Mayer on inks, Marty Gracia doing the colors. I like this cover by Ryan Stegman. Got the, I like the glare coming off the claws there. Psylocke being featured here on this cover. I like all the rubble in the background. This is basically X-Men versus X-Men, supposedly. Although we didn't really get too much of that in the last issue, which was kind of my main complaint about this miniseries so far. I felt like that the confrontation between the X-Men was kind of forced. But we pick up right there with Psylocke and Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler teleports them away, and they realize that they're no longer adversarial towards each other as soon as they get away from the fight. Kind of coming to the conclusion that someone was controlling them or suggestively manipulating the X-Men into fighting each other, which is what happens here. This character, I think his name was Scurvy, but he's like an ultra telepath working with Dr. Ellis here, who's the generic main bad guy here. She hates mutants. She's kind of a generic character, not too much depth to her, I feel like. And she's got Captain Ezra here, who's like the military arm of her operation here. She's running this Grey Malkin prison, which is the old X-Mansion. She's turned into a mutant prison, which is kind of a cool concept. Great double splash page here by Vicentini doing the artwork in the first half of this book. Really awesome double splash page. Captain Ezra says that they're mutants, and Dr. Ellis says they're just mutants. Captain Ezra says, no, they're not mutants. They're X-Men. So in the last issue, we've got Siren and Blob. And it's actually Wild Child. In the last review, I said it was Toad. I just kind of assumed it was Toad because it looked like him. But it's actually Wild Child. So find that out in this issue. But they've got these Sentinel Hounds, these new kind of Sentinels that are battling all of the X-Men here. Got both X-Men teams working together here, so the bad guys are really no match for them at all. We have some of the new X-Men here meeting some of the older X-Men like Ransom and Temper. They seem to be smitten with each other here. Again, some cool artwork here by Fredrico Vicentini. Dr. Ellis says to this guy, Scurvy, she says, if you are claimed to be a psychic to rival Charles Xavier, prove it to me. So the best thing about this story, in this specific comic book, I felt like is this twist at the end. I wasn't too sure about this Raid on Grey Malkin series so far, but I feel like once you get to the end of this book, it's got a really good twist, good ending that kind of throws everything off from what we thought was happening here. So first, the X-Men, though, they're kind of reminiscing that it felt like the old days. We've got Rogue and Cyclops kind of at odds here. I like that the two X-Men teams are diametrically opposed here. They've got different motivations. Cyclops' team is more like a covert action team, and Rogue's team is more like just a family trying to survive. And Cyclops does not want Charles Xavier to be freed, while Rogue does. So she can't understand why Cyclops would want to leave one of the X-Men behind, specifically Xavier. So Cyclops is saying this is what he calls mutant liberation, keeping Xavier locked up. He says Xavier's always manipulated us. He'll always manipulate us, all for the sake of the dream. And what has it gotten us? Now we're free of Xavier's dream, free to follow our dreams of our own. They're all kind of looking sort of puzzled at Cyclops, but I'm sure they're all mulling over his words in their own minds here. So I love this panel down here, just the red and black. Kind of a thing you just don't get anymore in comics. Just shows you that Cyclops is not fooling around here with everything in red. He says, you let Charles Xavier back out into the world, and that's all over. We're all back on his leash. Rogue says, this is wrong. And we get Cyclops referencing some things that happened in the fall of House of X issue 4 when Cyclops murdered a whole bunch of innocent people and Cyclops was forced to watch. So I'm glad that they're bringing up some of this stuff that Xavier did, because at the end of the Krakoan era, Xavier was, full on heel. So these are the Ryan Stegman pages here, though, and we've got Rogue and Cyclops going at each other here. And they get confronted by this character, this ultra powerful telepath, and he says, you worry about Xavier, you never stop to think who could keep the world's most powerful psychic locked down. He starts to float in the air. He drops his crutches there, and he enacts the white light protocol, as he calls it. So pretty cool splash page by Stegman here. We got all the X-Men, their eyes glowing white. They all have these shocked faces. Looks like they're all in pain here. We've got their silhouettes down at the bottom. Pretty awesome double splash pages. Some great double splash pages in this book. So in a lot like the Days of Future Past movie, where you had Xavier doing that mind trick where he freezes everybody, but then Wolverine's trying to keep moving. That's what we get here with Juggernaut, and he's moving forward towards this specific solitary confinement in the prison here, trying to rip off the door to get Xavier. But that's when from behind we see Nightcrawler and Psylocke show up with Xavier. Xavier's saying he's not the one. He's not inmate X. He's not in the prison. They buried him underground, he said. But here I stand resurrected from the ashes, as it were. So great ending here to this book. I thought the first 2 issues of this Raid on Grey Malkin were just kind of mediocre at best, but a great finale to this issue here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the final issue, what's going to happen with Xavier. So thanks again for watching. I definitely recommend this book. So please subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you guys on the next one.